Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this lesson, we're going to again be using the reverse Mr. Miyagi teaching method. Instead of teaching you a common everyday activity like waxing on and waxing off the car that's going to translate into great martial arts prowess, we're teaching you some Tai Chi lessons which you may not understand how they're going to apply, but as you're walking down the street every day, you're going to suddenly find that you're walking with more fluidity, walking with less impact on your joints, and with better spinal alignments. And in this fifth lesson, we are up to the movement of Repulse Monkey, which is one of the few times in the Yang Style 24 form you'll be traveling backward. It's a really great movement, and it's going to follow Play the Fiddle that we did in the last lesson. If you haven't seen the last lesson, go ahead and check it out. It'll be linked in the description section. But we did brush knee, we stepped up into Play the Fiddle, and then now we're going to go into Repulse Monkey. And you're going to do Repulse Monkey 4 times in the Yang Style 24 form. But I won't do all 4. We're just going to do it enough so you can understand what the movement is. From here, we're going to spread the arms, reaching back with the right arm and forward with the left arm, turning both palms up, keeping ourselves rooted on the forward leg so nobody can knock us over. Then we're going to transfer the root back and go into an empty stance, balanced on the right leg as the right palm comes up to the right ear. And then we're going to step back, and then we're going to strike forward with the right palm as the left palm comes down to the waist. So that is the first Repulse Monkey. And from here, we're going to repeat. And then we're going to do that 2 more times. If and when you begin starting to practice either this movement or any other Tai Chi movements, I want you to pay particular attention to this aspect of the movement, and that is the twisting or torsional rotation of the waist. It's a type of movement that we use all of the time when we're walking, if we're walking with good posture and good flow and proper alignment. It's something that people do not use if they're walking with poor posture, either slouching or having an anterior pelvic tilt or leaning with heavy impact on their heels when they're walking. People who have those issues are not using this type of rotation of their core. And learning how to do it, whether it's when you're walking normally or you learn it through Tai Chi, it's going to benefit your overall health. And that's one of the reasons why Tai Chi has been shown to be one of, if not the best exercise for improving balance and reducing risk of falls. It directly translates to how we move in our regular life. I'm going to get into the details of this torsional rotation of the waist, the upper waist and lower waist moving in opposite directions during a movement. I'm going to get into that more at the end of the video, so stick around if you want to hear those details. I mentioned earlier that I was going to get into this aspect of the torsional rotation of the waist, upper waist and lower waist moving in opposite directions, because it's what we do in our normal daily lives when we're walking, if we walk with proper posture. And in Repulse Monkey, we're going to see this sort of rotation over and over again in different ways that I think are going to help that mind-body connection and translate directly to your movement in your daily life. So I'm going to show you specific movements within Repulse Monkey where we're going to be doing this torsional rotation and switching from one side of the rotation to the other side of the rotation, and it's really not visible. The same way that when we walk, we can't see the rotation of the waist happen. We can only see the reflection of that rotation in the arms. And you're going to get some of that effect in Tai Chi. We see what the arms do. You can't really see the rotation. So it can be difficult to learn visually. That's why I'm going to explain what's going on right here. The first thing I'm going to explain is the actual strike, because this has a twist in one direction and then the other direction, all within what is seemingly the same movement. So when we're here and stepping back with the left foot, and I place on the left ball, and then I'm going to do this strike. So it looks like one movement, but it's really two movements. So remember, my forward foot begins turned out at an angle as I place the rear foot. Now I'm going to shift the weight back, and the first part of that shift, my foot is going to pivot in on the heel. So I can't have my weight on that leg as I try to pivot, or it's going to get stuck and potentially cause some injury and pain in the knee. We need to remove the weight from that foot as we begin to shift back and pivot the foot inwards so it's facing in line. So how do we do that? Right now, my weight is fully on the right leg. Not just my center of mass, but my root, the energy of my lower abs rooting that leg to the ground. So I need to remove that root and move it to the back leg. So as I begin the shift, I'm taking my belly button, which controls the root, the lower abs really, and I'm turning it back to the left. That is removing the root from the right leg, allowing it to pivot freely with no stress on the knee. In order to maintain a forward-facing position, as I do that, as I turn the lower abs to the left, I have to turn my upper abs to the right. So my upper waist is turning to the right. And this is going to generate a little bit of forward energy on your left arm, which is why when you finish the motion, your side of your hand should not be touching your waist. It should have a little bit of energy or room in there. That room is going to be created by that initial rotation. So back to this position, I'm turning the lower waist to the left to unroot the right leg, and I'm turning the upper waist to the right. And then once I get to this position, now I'm going to suddenly switch the rotation to the opposite side. I'm going to take the upper waist from turning to the right and turn it to the left, and I'm going to take the lower waist and turn it from the left and turn it to the right. So you're going to see that reflected in the motion of the foot and the hand. As I do that quick switch, the right arm is going to go forward, reflecting the rotation of the upper waist, and the forefoot of my right leg is going to press into the ground or push into the ground, reflecting the rotation of the lower waist. So that's where we end up. You should feel energy forward or fullness forward in the right side of the upper waist, empty on the left. And you should feel fullness in the right side of the lower waist, pulling back like this, rooting that forward leg. So when you get to this position, that right leg is sealed to the ground by your lower abs. If somebody were to try to knock you over, you would be rooted like a tether ball to that leg and not be vulnerable to fall over. So that motion is going to happen very quickly, and it's going to train your abdominal muscles to rotate and to root. And it all happens in what seems like one motion. But when you practice it slowly, it's first part of the motion where the foot pivots, and then second part of the motion. It just happens quickly once you practice it hundreds and hundreds of times. It's going to become smooth and fluid the same way it should be when we're rotating, switching from one side to the other of our waist rotation when we are walking. That prevents you from walking in this sort of fashion where people aren't rotating. They're just using gravity to move. We want to use rotation to move. After we complete the strike with the right palm, the next motion is the spreading of the arms. So how are we doing that? We are doing that by maintaining the same rotation of the waist muscles, but we're just going to take our hip action, which was extension of our right leg hip to push back, and we're going to turn that hip extension into hip flexion, turning off the glutes and activating the hip flexors from this position. I'm just going to lift up the right leg, and it's going to cause the movement to shift back. The heel doesn't come off the ground because it's still being rooted by the right lower abs, pushing that heel into the ground. In order to release the right leg from the ground, I need to switch the rotation of the lower abs back to the left, or the root back to the left, and at the same time switch the upper waist back in the other direction, turning to the right. And that's what causes the collection of the waist. So I've switched from torsional rotation on the right to torsional rotation on the left. I didn't do anything with the hip there. It was already flexed. This motion is strictly a motion of the waist muscles, switching from one rotation to the opposite rotation. Then we're going to step back by actually turning the upper and lower waist in the same direction, and then we're back to the strike that we did initially with the torsional rotation switching from one side to the other. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit better what the movements are, those invisible movements of the core that we're doing in Repulse Monkey. And I think if you can practice that technique and feel what's going on in your waist muscles, you're going to be able to apply that when you're walking, and it's going to improve your posture, help you walk with more confidence, help you walk lighter with lower impact on your joints. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one where we're going to be transitioning from Repulse Monkey to Grasp the Sparrow's Tail. I'll see you there.